Okay, page 29, chapel bells. This has a whole lot of pedal in it. We got a connecting pedal indication. Some people call it smooth pedaling. Some people call it legato pedaling. You call it whatever you want. I don't care what you call it. I would recommend you do what's known as an overlap pedaling. Take a look at the third and fourth lines. This is where this is happening. I'll talk about the hands moving around in a minute. Let's talk about pedal. Alright? You're starting here. You're playing the chord. You're gonna, right after you play the note, you're gonna push the pedal down. Okay? Then I go to the next chords, and right after I play those notes, I'm gonna put the pedal up and right back down. So there's an overlap between when you play the note and when you change the pedal, but it's a fraction of a second and the ear doesn't care. What it does is it ensures you have constant sound. Some people will say change the pedal when you play the note, and that is a style of pedaling. You do that, but you have to be very exact, or you lift the pedal too soon, you'll get silence. Legato pedaling, what I call overlap, it's not just me, it's a term, it's called overlapping pedaling, is much safer. And so I recommend you do it. I taught it to my students, and I'm a big believer in it. So you play the notes first, then the pedal. Play the note, then the pedal. Play the note, then the pedal. Then the note, then the pedal. And do it that way. Until you get to the very end, and then you lift the fingers and the pedal at the same time. Okay? I recommend that. The pedal between the end of the second line and the beginning of the third line. Alright, that is not a connected pedal. It's not overlapping. We want a moment of silence there. At the end of that phrase on the second line, we want some silence at the end of that before the third line starts. So lift the pedal up right before you play the notes on the third line so we get some silence. Now, I told you before that on pedal markings on a different video, the down line for when you push the pedal down and the up line for when you lift it up are not always accurate. At the end of the third line, you have a half note that's been tied over from before with a rest, a quarter rest. A rest means silence. They're telling you to keep the pedal down through this rest. Okay? Well, two ways of looking at this. One way is you're going to leave the sound going, you're going to leave the pedal down, but you're going to lift the fingers up and let the pedal take it for one beat. The other way of looking at it is lift the pedal up with the hand at the end of the second beat so you get one beat of silence before you go on. 1, 2, rest, and then you go on. They want, how do I say it? It's not connected pedal between the third and fourth lines. Those are not connected. So we want the pedal, we want a little silence between the third and fourth lines, okay? I would recommend you go ahead and lift the pedal with the hands at the end of the second beat so we get one beat of silence. So if I play the last two measures of the third line, it's this. 1, 2, 3, tie, 2, up, and then go on. And so we get one beat of silence, kind of important. Now, as far as where the hands go, you're in C position for the most part until the third and fourth line. You are moving around a little bit. Just a little bit. Again, you ought to be able to make that move without looking at the keyboard. You don't have to make a face if you don't want to. I just do because it's fun. Okay. The last measure of the second line. See the right hand? Look at that mess. You got three notes there in the right hand. You have a C, a D, and a G. The C and the D are cockeyed. And they have to be cockeyed because if they put them directly, vertically, they would get in each other's way. Alright, so they put them cockeyed. You still play them at the same time because they're connected to the same stem. Alright, so play them together. It's a weird sounding chord, but nevertheless it's there, so have fun. The melody's in the left hand there anyway, because the melody, remember? Because you're tying it. Which is something else I just as well talk about, because we're going to get it some more. As you see the last two measures of the second line, left hand, those C's are tied together, so you can play the first C, hold it down for 6 counts. But there's a phrase marking, like a slur, through the whole phrase. So you're connecting the whole thing. So here it's telling you it's all smooth and even when you have a tie. But you have a tie too. Kind of cool, I think. But that's the way it is. You have a tie in the last two measures at the bottom too. Then you also have a D, C, F, Fine, which you go back and you play the first 2 lines again. The Fine is at the end of the second line. I'm going to get to a point where I won't be pointing these out anymore. I'm going to expect you to be able to see them. Now, on the last line, if you look above the staff, it has an 8 VA above it. That means take the right hand, and only the right hand, not both. If they want both hands to go, they either have to put the 8 VA above both staffs, or they put a little note, both hands. Usually, they put a little note, both hands. In this case, the right hand, they want you to go up an octave from here to here, and the left hand, it's underneath, they want you to go down an octave from here to here. So both hands are moving here. Now you got one beat of rest to do that in. Okay, so at the end of the third line, during that rest, you look down at your keyboard and go here, here. Don't care which hand you move first. I recommend you can move both hands at the same time if you want. That takes practice, but you can do it one hand at a time. That's fine. Just have those hands there ready to go before you play that last line. Then at the end of the last line, you got to come back, because at the beginning you're back where you were, but you're only playing the left hand, so you can leave the right hand where it is at first. So at the end you're here, okay, with the pedal down. I would recommend, like on the last beat of the last measure, go ahead and move the left hand up where it needs to go, and the pedal will keep the sound going for you. And there you're ready to go, so when you go back to the top, you can lift the pedal up for a bit of silence before you play that note. So it's like this: 1, 2, 3, tie, 2, 3. And then after you start playing that, then you can move the right hand down, because the right hand doesn't play in the first measure. That's how I would recommend you do that. 3/4 time, I'll give you 3 counts. C position, foot's on the pedal, here we go. 1, ready, go. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3, tie, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. Two, three.